Hi, this is Dave. Have you ever thought that if you're too verbal with your Christianity, you'll offend people? You know, if there's one thought that is almost universally nurtured by Christian business people, it's probably that one. I think it excuses all kinds of behavior, or more accurately, it excuses lack of behavior. You know, the consequences of that thought, if I voice my Christianity, I'll offend people. The consequences of that thought are immeasurable, because most of us grasp onto that thought and hold it so dear, we fail to act when there is an opportunity. We don't offer to pray for someone. We don't mention something God has done in our lives. We tell no one about God. We tolerate behavior in colleagues and customers and vendors and the world around us that more stout Christians in earlier generations would not have accepted. And as a result of that, we see our world grow increasingly dark, with wars and rumors of war increasing, with more blatant manifestations of evil around us, and with unashamed attacks on the sensibility and self-images of our children and grandchildren. But perhaps the biggest and saddest consequences of our clutching onto this fear are those people who should have been touched, should have been provided with a living example of how God can touch a life and redeem people, and never were. Those people who should have been touched and never were. And as a result of our reticence, millions of people, over time and place, who should have gained a glimpse into life with a living God, never did. Surely Satan must count this belief as one of his greatest tools. You know, this belief is wrong at multiple levels. First, it's untrue. Okay, we may offend one or two people who are quick to be offended by anything, but the overwhelming majority of people will respond positively, not negatively, to a sincere model of Christian character. Look at the Dan Orlovsky incident, for example. In a situation of approaching catastrophe, he spontaneously broke into a prayer on national TV, and the comments were overwhelmingly positive. You know, it seems that athletes, for some reason, are more confident in their relationship with God than most business people. Darwin Hamlin gave thanks to God for his recovery. Patrick Mahomes, being interviewed following his team's winning of the conference championship, first gave credit to God in the post-game interview. And that seems to be the thing these days. We see quarterbacks particularly give credit to God in the interviews. National TV, millions of people watching, and they're straightforward and to the point. Few, if any, negative comments to any of those people. And of course, who can forget Tim Tebow? So while athletes may be the most nationally visible group of unafraid Christians, they aren't the only ones who have taken a stand for Christ. There's a growing cadre of Christian-led businesses who are growing and leading in their industries. Chick-fil-A and Hobby Lobby come to mind, but there are thousands of others. These are companies whose leaders have stood for Christian principles and practices, and whose businesses continue to grow and thrive. But there is more. You know, not only is the belief untrue, it directly opposes clear and powerful biblical teaching. Probably the strongest of these is Jesus' words recorded in Matthew chapter 10, verse 32 and 33, and I'm going to quote here, "Whoever acknowledges me before others, I will also acknowledge before my Father in heaven. But whoever disowns me before others, I will disown before my Father in heaven." Now, the Lord did not add, of course, unless you're afraid that it will offend someone. He didn't say, "Whoever acknowledges me before others," unless you're afraid that it will offend someone. He didn't say that. Acknowledging God in our lives is a command, not an option. Just think, if you're Patrick Mahomes, Whoever acknowledges me before others, I will acknowledge before my Father in heaven. He's going to be acknowledged before the Father in heaven. Why then is this belief so prevalent? It sprouts out of our love of worldly comforts and a set of nebulous fears. We're comfortable in our lifestyles, in our relationships with our colleagues, in their image of us, and we're afraid of losing that comfort. So our comfortable lifestyles, fertilized by fear, blossom into unconscious habits. It's not that we make a conscious decision every time to hide our Christianity. It's that we have made that decision in the past over and over again to the point where it becomes unconscious habit. We've made a habit of hiding our Christianity, and we do it now without thinking. So how do we break the habit and defeat the fear? Well, pray, of course. As with any major change in our habits and behavior, we need to enlist God's strength and involvement and intervention in our efforts. In other words, begin with prayer. Pray in general for your strength and commitment, and pray for specific opportunities and people that you see on the horizon. One of the easiest steps is to begin to pray for people in your life, your colleagues, your customers, and co-workers. Ask the Lord to prompt you to find a way to mention Christ in your conversations with each. A great simple act is to ask if you can pray for them. But pray. Ask God to intervene in your life and give you the strength and opportunity. And then the next step is to commit. Almost no behavior change happens without a commitment to make that change. People don't quit smoking until they decide to. We don't quit any addiction or change any established habit until we're ready to commit to the effort. And the same is true of our habit of hiding our Christianity. We don't change that behavior until we're ready to commit to the change. So, step 1, pray. Step 2, commit. Step 3, act. Sooner or later, we have to punch through the covering of fear and do something that was heretofore out of character. We must do something. As James said, and we're all familiar with the faith without works is dead, quote, but until we manifest our faith in our actions, it's all for nothing. You may want to take baby steps. Small gestures can build success and confidence and lead to more visible and bigger opportunities. Here's a baby step that everyone can take almost immediately. Offer to pray for someone. When someone shares a challenge or difficulty in their life, ask, quote, do you mind if I pray for you, or do you mind if I pray with you about that? That shows your faith and your compassion for the other person in a soft, non-threatening way. And, very, very few people will tell you, no, don't pray for me. They all say yes. See, it establishes a bit of a connection. It lets people know that you're a Christian. Then it focuses on empathy for them. And when you do that, you will have taken the first step towards defeating this pernicious belief. Okay? By the way, if you'd like some support and rub shoulders with other people, like-minded people, think about joining our XI community. For all $5 a month, you have a one-stop shop of connections and content for other Christian business people. I'll put a link in the show notes. Okay, that's it. We're done. Bye-bye.